Mhm.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Are we live, Joyce?
Yep, let's
Okay,
go.
great. Okay.
Yay.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another reminder to love. I'm always so excited to be here with you. Today, we're going to be talking about your thyroid. This is part one of a two-part series where we're going to talk about your thyroid, what can go wrong with it, how to assess it, and of course, what are all the great things you can do to take care of it using your essential oils and supplements and lifestyle. I have to say that this has been a long time coming to have this conversation about thyroid. And it was really Aisha Harley, beautiful Aisha, who spoke to me about 9 months ago. It was on one of our calls. And she says, Jenny, Dr. Jenny, are you ever going to talk about the thyroid? I mean, ever? And she sounded so plaintive. And I realized I haven't talked about the thyroid before. So this is for you, Aisha, and for all of you who have waited too long to hear me talk about the thyroid gland. And it's also, I really just have to say thanks, you guys. I'm sorry I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I had an unexpected detox reaction to something that I was taking. And I'm so grateful that I have been able to detoxify. I'm still in the process, but I'm feeling so much better that I'm able to be with you here today and also be with you tonight live at the Eco Trust for those of you that are here in Portland. So what is it that we're going to talk about today? We are going to talk about your thyroid. It can be hyperfunctioning, it can be hypofunctioning, it can get nodules, it can get tumors. We are going to be talking about all of those things with the thyroid, how it is that you can assess your thyroid with your doctor's help to figure out if it's in balance or not. I expect a lot of you have thyroid problems. You may not even know it. Thyroid used to be one of those things where there weren't actually a lot of thyroid, there wasn't a lot of thyroid disease. It was considered relatively rare. In the last couple decades, it has just skyrocketed in terms of the amount of people that have thyroid disorders now. Why? That's one of the things we're going to be talking about. Your thyroid is this beautiful little butterfly-shaped organ at the base of your neck. And just like the butterfly that floats around outside, it is so important to the environment with which it lives. You know, for butterflies, we're very dependent on them for their actions in the natural world. And your thyroid is the same. It's so important for your internal environment. And just like the butterfly up there, it's very delicate and it's very vulnerable to damage. So we'll be talking about the things that might be going wrong with your thyroid today. I absolutely love your questions, so please ask questions. And with Tracy's help at the end, I'll take your questions. I'll take as many as I can. And I'll also pop into Facebook this week and check and see if you guys have any other questions there for those of you who aren't able to join us live. And I also just have to remind you that everything I say is just meant to be information. Nothing about this is meant to treat or diagnose anything that's going on with you. It's information for you to share with your healthcare team. So our thyroid, what is up with our thyroid? Your thyroid is called an endocrine gland. It actually responds to what's going on in your environment, and the actual definition of your endocrine gland is that it responds to different hormones. What is it that this thyroid does for us? So our thyroid actually sets our metabolism. It sets how fast or slow every single cell in your body goes. Well, almost every single cell in your body goes. It's a little bit like your RPMs for your engine, which is revolutions per minute of your crankshaft if you have a combustion engine. And so it really goes slow. So if you're if you're running fast, if your RPMs are up there, if you're hyper-functioning thyroid, you feel like a car going down a freeway out of control. And you're just like, what's going on? I don't know if I'm going to live. I can handle all this. That is high functioning. Low functioning is like that VW bus trying to get over the mountain pass. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. That's low functioning. What you want is you want it to be like a well-tuned BMW where you're just humming along. You want your thyroid to just be at that perfect set point where it just feels good. You know what I'm saying? That is what we want our thyroid to do. Your thyroid it sets that based on the information it's getting from its environment. What happens is that we have this thing called the pituitary gland in our brains, which is secretes the master hormone, which stimulates the thyroid to secrete different hormones secrete thyroid hormone into our body. It does that based on how much hormone it has. I drew a little picture of it here. It's really a great picture, right? This is the brain, and this is your thyroid. Pretty little butterfly. Should have put colors in there. And so your pituitary senses how much thyroid hormone is in your blood, and it says, oh, they need more. Let's secrete more thyroid stimulating hormone, your TSH, to the thyroid, so the thyroid will then put out more thyroid hormone. The main form is called T4, but actually the active form is called T3. So the thyroid secretes T4, and then T3 gets activated in different cells in your body to become the active form that actually makes that RPM shift. If your thyroid says, your pituitary says, oh, you know what, there's quite a bit of thyroid hormone here, we're just going to slow down a little bit. Then it decreases the thyroid stimulating hormone, so the thyroid doesn't put as much thyroid hormone out in your body. It sounds super simple, right? It's like, what could possibly go wrong with such a system as that? This is called a biofeedback system, and we have a lot of them in our body, and they are ingenious. The thing is that the thyroid responds to other things as well. So your thyroid responds to your adrenal glands and your ovaries. This is what we call the golden triangle. Some of you have heard us talk about this before. This is something that Dr. Josie Schmidt has talked about. I've talked about it. I think Dr. Louise Rose. So we've talked about this golden triangle because it is so important and we love it so much. And the adrenals are king for sure. They need to be handled to support the thyroid. We're going to be focusing down here on the thyroid, but I just want to give you a few examples of how this functions together so you can understand how your thyroid is going to increase or decrease its RPMs based on what it's picking up is going on in your body. So your thyroid, a really classic situation here is, say you're in your 20s and 30s and you're a little bit stressed out. You have kids, you are working, you're taking care of somebody. If you are feeling stressed, then it's likely that maybe you have too much cortisol. So your cortisol levels are high. If that goes on, then one of the things that can happen that can alter your thyroid is high cortisol will block the enzyme that allows your T4 to switch to your T3. So you may have plenty of T4, but it's not getting converted to T3, which is the active form. You have to have the T3 to get the cells to do what they're supposed to do. So that's one way that the adrenals and the thyroid have an interaction. If that stress continues, and I know it does, for years or for a while, what can happen is that the body is revving up so much. Well, let me just tell you a classic situation. One I know well is that somebody like in your 20s and your 30s and you're working really hard. And then for women, naturally when they hit perimenopause, menopause, the ovaries are supposed to decrease their function. And what's supposed to happen here is that the adrenals take over some extra work for the ovaries. There are some hormones that the ovary secretes that then the adrenals are supposed to do that for it. If you enter perimenopause and your adrenals are already kind of tired, it doesn't have that oomph. It can't really do a second job. So what happens is that your body feels stressed and your thyroid goes, oh, I get it, you guys. I understand. This is a really hard situation. I'm going to help out by slowing everything down. So everything's just going to take less energy. I'm going to put you in eco mode so that that's what my car does if my battery's low. I'm going to put you in eco mode so that you can't drive too fast. And indeed, a lot of women end up getting hypothyroid when they hit menopause. And I really believe it's partly due to this interaction here. There are a number of other ways that we can talk about how the triangle works. There's one other I'm going to talk about today in a few minutes, and it's the impact of yo-yo dieting on your thyroid and how that kind of can further contribute to any problem you're having with your thyroid. So what can possibly go wrong with the thyroid? So you can have a thyroid that is hyperfunctioning, hypofunctioning, or the nodules or tumors. High functioning or hypofunctioning, low functioning hypothyroid is the most common that we see in clinic. That means like hypofunctioning is when you don't have enough thyroid
and you're sort of slow. Like if this was to be an animal, hypothyroid would be a sloth, just hanging out on it's kind of like, oh, sort of hard to think about doing much. The brain slows down. You don't really feel like doing much very physically. You're just kind of feeling slow. Your hair may come out in clumps. You might have thinning of the eyebrows out here. You can get kind of slow digestion, so you're really constipated and you're tired. You're just always kind of tired and your skin may be dry. That's hypothyroid. Hyperthyroid, if it was to be an animal, I would say it's a caricature of like a rabbit, a really stressed out rabbit. It's like running around like, what am I supposed to be doing now? Oh my gosh, I'm so anxious. Anxiety is very, very typical of hyperthyroid. You might have sweaty, clammy skin instead of the dry skin. The heart goes boom, boom, boom. Palpitations are very common. Often they show up at nighttime. You wake up at night with a panic attack or palpitations. It doesn't feel good. It's not a happy place to be. The hypothyroid, the mood is low. It's like a depressive type of state. So those both can be it. I would love you guys right now, if you have any of these symptoms, if you know that you have a thyroid problem, would you do me a favor and would you type in some of your symptoms just to help those people who are trying to figure out if they might have a thyroid issue? I may have missed some of the symptoms that you have, and I would also just love the support for other people so that they can begin to say, oh yeah, I have that too, so that they can go, yeah, maybe I should get an assessment and see if thyroid is going on. So if you can type that in, I would surely appreciate it. So hypofunctioning and hyperfunctioning, both of those can be due to an autoimmune disease, but they do not have to be. Not all thyroid disease is autoimmune, but hyperfunctioning and hypofunctioning. So hypofunctioning thyroid that's autoimmune is called Hashimoto's, and hyperfunctioning thyroid is called Graves' disease. What is an autoimmune disease? Again, another one of those things that doesn't ever, they're so common now. So many people are diagnosed with autoimmune disease, and there's a lot of discussion about what it is that it is and what's causing it. It's conventionally understood that an autoimmune disease is the immune system going haywire. It's attacking its own, your body's attacking its own self. Somehow it got bored, it got confused, and it decided that your healthy cells were abnormal and it needed to destroy them. I find that people with autoimmune disease tend to begin to feel a little bit like it can be overwhelming. It can feel really hard to be diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I know when my good friend's daughter was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes, which is autoimmune, her daughter was like, just so sad. And just like, I'm just so bummed that my body's attacking me. I don't understand it. And I get that. It doesn't make sense when we are trying so hard to take care of our bodies and then they just like turn on us. I understand that sense of helplessness. I will say there's another theory going out there about autoimmune disease. There's a theory, it's just on the fringe, it hasn't been proven, but I find it quite intriguing, which is that maybe autoimmune disease is actually the immune system picking up more subtle types of things, and it's attacking the tissues that have that in there. Like if there are toxins in the cells, or if there are viruses in there, maybe that's what's going on and it's attacking that. I find it very interesting, and honestly, it doesn't matter which thing is causing your thyroid symptoms, what the cause of autoimmune disease is. And this is what I love about our medicine, naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, is it doesn't matter. If you do the foundations that I'm going to lay out here, if you take care of yourself in the way that we talk about, then it's going to help no matter what. Any autoimmune disease will be benefited by the foundations that I'm going to talk about in just a second. The other thing that can go on with a thyroid is you can get a nodule. In naturopathic functional medicine, a nodule is really, it's where you get this hard tissue. It's a calcium wall that goes on in the tissue, and it's there, and it seems to be there to protect the body from something that the body thinks is toxic. In a way, this supports that theory that maybe we have toxicity in our body, and that's what's causing so much of this thyroid problem. And we've had this crazy increase of thyroid nodules, especially in the Pacific Northwest. The OHSU endocrinology department is just flooded with people with nodules. And if you have a nodule, really, 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 really important that you get it checked out. You have to have an ultrasound and possibly biopsy to make sure that it's not cancerous. I know it can be so hard to hang out those couple weeks while you're waiting for those results to come back. And I find some people just don't want to deal. It's like, I don't want to deal with it. You're kind of afraid of what the results might be. It's so much better to know what it is, because then you can support your body. You can, if it's not cancerous, you can let that stress off yourself, but it is, you can support your body. We have so many ways to support our cellular health. So it's really best just to get it investigated and taken care of. So sorry, I'm blanking on what I'm doing right here. That little butterfly, it's so delicate. Our thyroid is so delicate. What is it that could possibly be bothering it, right? What's bugging the butterfly in our bodies? And I really think that you have to sort of remember, like, all these different organs, they really do pull on the thyroid. So that's one thing that's definitely bugging it. If we're too stressed out, if our hormonal system is out of balance, that is definitely bugging the thyroid. The other thing is it's so vulnerable to toxic exposures. The thyroid needs to have iodine, and that has a certain electrical charge to it. Any metal that matches that electrical charge just gets sucked right into the thyroid. It just has like a electronic attraction, literally an electronic attraction. Things like mercury, arsenic, fluoride, these things get stuck in our thyroids and bog them down. If you have silver fillings in your mouth, that could be part of the problem. If you eat a lot of large fish, unfortunately, they have too much mercury in them. If you live on near coal plants, all of those are potential causes of mercury. And I really think that that's partly why we are seeing such an epidemic of thyroid disorders in the last few decades. The other is the virus situation. We have so many viruses out there. Just a few of them do we have names for, but the ones with a name, Epstein-Barr virus has really come up to the top of the list. I think because we can test it better than the other ones. I'm not going to say so well, because it's not so well, but it's better. That we have these viruses, and viruses love to hang out. Now, I'm not talking about the cold and flu viruses that you get and your body just has this super fast reaction to and then clears it out. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about chronic infections, ones that linger. You know how you can get chickenpox as a child, and then it goes dormant and hangs out in your nerves and waits until you're an adult and you're super stressed out. And then it comes and the super painful rash. I know some of you have had this, and it is a nightmare. I'm sorry. I know. So this rash is really painful. And what this is it's just an expression of what viruses are doing. We have other viruses that do the same thing. They lie dormant. They're waiting until you have something happen, and then they can explode. And there's some theory that maybe the Epstein-Barr virus or other viruses are in the thyroid and causing so much dysfunction. I think it's quite likely that that's exactly what's going on there. There's another thing about the thyroid that I think doesn't get enough attention, and that is its impact on our mood. Hyperfunctioning can really lead to anxiety, and low functioning can really lead to depression. You can have hyperfunctioning to the point where it causes mania. And I have seen it too many times where people go into their primary care doctors, to their psychologists, to their psychiatrists, and they're presenting with very serious mental conditions, and nobody's looking thoroughly at their thyroid. I think it's a mistake. So if that's anything that you're experiencing, make sure that you get a proper workup for your thyroid. When my aunt had bipolar and schizophrenia, and she's no longer here with us. She passed some years ago. And looking back now, I realized that she likely had hypothyroid. I really think that was a key part of what was going on with her. And I also think she had a number of food sensitivities, and she was reacting to a lot of the foods that she was eating, and she was having an allergy to them. I want to use her situation to talk about another vicious cycle that happens, especially with hypothyroid. If we have extra weight on our body and we're not feeling good about ourselves, what we do in this culture is we go on a diet. We go on a diet so we can lose a bunch of weight and we can be okay. We can be happy. We can be thin. We can be just fine. That radical diet may work the first time, It may work the second time, possibly the third time. By the fifth time you go on that diet, something else goes on in the body. The body goes, whoa, okay, I know what's going on here. Your adrenal gland goes, well, I recognize this situation. This is clearly a famine. This is a very stressful thing. Don't worry. I've handled this with her ancestors. I've got it covered. What we're going to do is we're going to increase the cortisol and we're going to hold on to more fat, especially around the waist, because clearly this is a starvation situation and she's going to need more energy for later. So I'm going to help her out and create a storage pack battery for her that she can wear around her waist. And then your thyroid goes, oh yeah, I get it too. Yeah, you're right. I need to help out too. I'm going to slow us down. We're going to go in eco mode now. So we're not wasting any energy. We're going to slow all the cells down. We're going to slow it way down. And even the gonads will help out here. They won't be as fertile, right? They won't, it's not time for babies. Nope, not time for babies. So then what happens is that you're on this diet, you're eating very few calories and you're not losing weight. So what does that do to how we feel? We feel terrible. So then we go to the foods that will give us a little quick boost for our neurotransmitters. We go to the high fats, we go to the high carbohydrates, we go to the things that make us feel better, even for a moment, by boosting the serotonin and the dopamine and our feel-good hormones. And then, of course, the weight goes back on even faster because the metabolism is so slow. It's in eco mode. I watched my aunt in the 70s go from diet to diet to diet. I remember standing in the kitchen as an 8-year-old watching her weigh out her cornflakes on a scale. And I remember thinking, this is no way to live. And I really think that if she was alive, unfortunately, she was in a time when we didn't understand the impact of our biochemistry. We didn't understand the relationship between our gut and the foods that we eat and our brain. We didn't understand the interconnections between all these organs. We didn't know how to test for the thyroid. There's so much that she didn't know. And I know that if she had the information that I'm able to share with you today, she would have fared so much better. If you suffer from any kind of mental illness, you have severe anxiety, depression, panic attacks, any kind of anything going on, please, please, please get it thoroughly worked up with somebody who understands the interconnectedness of all of the hormones and will do a thorough thyroid workup for you. And get the support you need. As challenging as mental illness is, there's so much that we can do to balance our brains so that the peaks and the troughs are not quite so intense. Taking care of this triangle is a really important first step. Addressing the foundations I'm going to go into in a minute is also really helpful. And there's so much you can do with your mind. Just even observing what's going on with your mind and then using that mind to choose to take care of yourself and get the support that you need so that you can thrive and have the life you deserve to have. The best thing to do for no matter what thyroid situation you have, nodules, hyper, hypo, whether you have mood stuff or whatever, is you want to focus on what I call the foundational 4. So you really want to focus on the foundations. Every single treatment is going to work way better if you have the foundations in place. So they are sleep and rhythm, detox and digestion, movement and breath, mindset and spirit, the foundational 4. Sleep is when we have our growth hormone come out. So it's very important to sleep because that's when we heal as adults. Good sleep equals a good, better mood. And getting your sleep schedule along track really supports your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands have a particular rhythm to them, and you can support that rhythm by going to bed at a good hour and getting a good night's sleep. Detoxification and digestion are so important. You can see that if the thyroid and other organs are deeply affected by the toxins in our body, it's so important, and also by not being able to fight off infections, it's so important to have this system in line, right? Because your digestion is 80% of your immune system is in your gut. your microbiome down there, you want to make sure that that is balanced. And you need to have your detox pathways in order. You're both your phase 1 and your phase 2. Phase 1, phase 2, it's like going through the car wash. Your phase 1 gets it all soapy and scrubbed up. You need to have the phase 2, which is where you get rinsed and you get dried off so you can be all clean and shiny. So you definitely want to have your detox pathways opened up so that you can have proper immune function, absorb your nutrients, get rid of toxicity, and have your metabolism work better. Your microbiome actually helps affect your metabolism. If that is more in balance, then your thyroid doesn't have to respond so much and do quite so much for you. Movement and breath. Movement, whatever you can do, is great. Movement really helps the body detoxify, and it increases your sleep. It helps your mood. It increases your oxygen. If you're breathing properly and you're moving your body, you have more oxygen, which increases your energy. And it's a little bit of detoxifying because you're moving your lymphatic system as you move, and you also sweat. Mindset and spirit. I call this the internal medicine cabinet. And this is, I really think this is the most powerful medicine that we have, is that with our mind. And when we combined our mind with our spirit and have them work together, this is where we can make massive changes with ourselves, with our health, and we can be the light, the love and the light that we're meant to be here on this planet. I know some of you agree with me and know what I'm talking about. This is really how we thrive. I have many stories about the power of the mind, but one that comes to me right now that I want to share with you is just to understand how powerful the mind is. You can have somebody with a split personality. So same body, but two personalities. So personality Bob goes in and gets a blood test done. And then personality Joe gets a blood test. Same body. They can have completely different lab results. Like totally different. Bob could be hyperthyroid and Joe could be low thyroid. It is so crazy. If that doesn't state like how powerful the mind is, then I don't know what else does. I just find that whole thing phenomenal. So you definitely want to focus on your foundations to make sure that you have the most vitality. And we'll come back to this in just a second. How is it that you can tell if you might have something going on with your thyroid, right? So you want to do a thorough assessment. And this is where I use both labs and also do check symptoms. This is where I think a lot of physicians kind of fall down and that they don't do enough of the labs. So please convince your physician that you should do all of these labs. You want to do your free T3, that's the active form, free T4, your free T4 hormone, your TPO antibodies to see if your body's having an antibody reaction, thyroglobulin antibodies, and then TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone. This is the most common test, but I really like to see this whole panel because often you can see a slight subtle differences and you begin to understand, oh no, this is actually more of an adrenal problem, or this is really a thyroid problem. And then check your symptoms. What's going on with your weight? Do you tend to hold on to more weight? Are you kind of a sloth? Or are you more like the anxious bunny where it's hard to keep it on? Or does it go back and forth? Because that sometimes does happen with people, especially in an autoimmune situation. You can kind of be hyper and hypo and flip back and forth. It's sort of crazy. How's your energy? Do you have that anxious, kind of stressed out energy? Or are you really tired all the time? Or is it good? Are you the BMW in the sweet spot? I'm so happy for you if you are. How's your sleep? Do you sleep too much? Do you sleep not enough? Do you wake up with panic attacks? How's your mood? Anxious? Stable? Kind of low? Do you have dry skin or is it clammy? How about your hair? Usually with hypothyroid hair, the hair thing is that it's big clumps. It's not just a little bit in your brush. It's like, oh my God, I just got a whole clump in my brush. Or you take a shower and you look down and you're like, whoa, there's just like the drain is filled with hair. It's pretty extreme usually. And how's your digestion? Is it sluggish, more on the slow metabolic side, or is it fast? Is it like everything move right through you? Highly recommend you assess where you are in your thyroid so that you can get an idea if this is something that you need to be paying more attention to and take care of. So
is to take care of your thyroid. Get to my, there. So in terms of treating the foundations and getting your thyroid together, let's talk about some protocols that you can start now, okay? So the first thing I would say is I would love it if you guys can get any labs done between now and the next time I'm talking with you, because in 2 weeks, I'm gonna go through really specific protocols using your essential oils and different things to treat different situations with the thyroid. So if you're all curious and you were gonna do it anyway and you can get in to see somebody, get the labs done. It usually takes about 5 days to get the results back. So going back to your foundations, really want you to pay attention to your adrenal glands. So you remember how it's the top of the triangle? Very essential that your adrenals are balanced. So I always say treat the adrenal glands first. When I was in medical school, I was given some thyroid stimulating herbs and things to treat my whatever was going on with me by some of the senior students. I felt terrible. I felt like I was crawling up a wall and I had like, it was worse than bad coffee. I don't know what it was. It was freaky. And I realized now what had happened is that they misunderstood what was going on with my body. I needed adrenal support first. My thyroid didn't know how to respond to all of those extra nutrients. The adrenals needed to be handled. So take your Mito 2 Max. Your Mito 2 is a great adrenal support. I'm a huge fan of basil and rosemary, bergamot, and geranium for your adrenal support, just putting it right on your kidneys. Getting your daily rhythm in check will really support the adrenals, like I said. So getting that sleep schedule down, going to bed nice and early will really, really help so that you can really establish your adrenal support. Very, very important. For digestion and detoxification, I love the basic treatment guidelines. The basic treatment guidelines are dry skin brushing to move your lymphatic system around, castor oil packs to help your liver and your digestion. Really great if you're on the constipated side to do castor oil packs with a little bit of zendocrine oil, or coriander oil is so good for any kind of constipation. Just putting a little bit of that on the belly can be really, really helpful. So really want to get your body, you want to have all the doorways open so all that junk can just leave you and not be bothering your thyroid or any other organ or system in your body. Support the liver by taking, certainly by drinking lots of water. It's great to do that. By taking the citrus oils in the morning in your water helps that phase 1 to phase 2 detox pathway. Taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack, because it has the nutrients in there and also has different herbs that help the liver, support the liver, that's also very beneficial. I love the Zendocrine Detox Caps when they come back online, as well as the Zendocrine capsules with the gel caps with the oils. All of those are designed and meant to really help your detoxification. Many, many people with autoimmune disease, especially Hashimoto's, have low stomach acid. This means that your stomach is not able to break down the foods and it doesn't trigger the pathway that it's supposed to, this chain reaction all the way down your intestines. So you're not able to optimally absorb all the nutrients from that good food you put in. You could be eating the best foods ever, but if your stomach can't break them down, you're not benefiting from those foods. So taking a digestive enzyme with every meal will really help you handle that. And I love taking probiotics because that gives you like all the happy bugs in your gut and makes you have a better balanced microbiome. Your microbiome does many, many things for you. It's your immune system. So it's gonna be easier for it to recognize a virus and keep the load down. It also helps set your metabolism. So it will support your thyroid in that way. So definitely want to focus on that. So, so important. And I want to talk about foods for the thyroid. So there are some foods for the thyroid that don't work so well that we know. There's things, junk food clearly. Okay, so sorry, not great for the junk food isn't great if you're trying to heal some sort of chronic disease ever. But gluten and dairy have been the two that have been most associated with autoimmune types of things in the thyroid gland. So if you have or suspect that you might have an autoimmune issue in the thyroid, highly, highly, highly recommend you get off gluten and dairy. Both of those are really common triggers. The other ones that I think are quite common, not quite as, but pretty close, are corn, eggs, and soy. I think those can be real irritants to the thyroid as well.
There are foods you can eat that are super supportive for your thyroid. Those are a lot of the same foods that are great for your liver. Things like asparagus, artichokes, dandelion greens, so good for you. Parsley, power packed parsley, so good. All of those things are really great for your thyroid. So just expanding your diet and your vegetable intake right now will be really beneficial, and it's a perfect time for it because we have so many lovely vegetables that we can available to us at this time. So including those into your diet can be helpful. You also want to have mineral rich types of foods like the nuts. Brazil nuts have selenium in them. Walnuts and almonds, bringing those into the diet are great, as are the seaweeds, dulse and spirulina. Those things, they have nutrients that the body needs. Some people with hyperthyroid do have a reaction to foods with too much iodide in it. We're not sure exactly what that is. There's different theories about that. So talk with your healthcare team if you have hyperthyroid to decide if you should have an iodide rich nutrients or not, or you can experiment and see how you feel when you eat them. If you want more information, I think food is great. I know. I want to talk about this poor little family of vegetables that have been maligned, and it is the brassica family or cruciferous family. The poor little family. So this is your cauliflower, your kale, your Brussels sprouts, your cabbage, your broccoli. People have been saying, like, don't eat those if you have any thyroid problems. It's going to make it so much worse. I remember being told that in medical school, and I was like, seriously? Broccoli's going to hurt me? I don't believe that. Comes out it's not actually true. We have not been able to prove it that those vegetables block the thyroid. What I can tell you is if you are at all concerned about it, eat them when they're cooked. I know 100% sure that cooked vegetables will not harm your thyroid. And I love them that way. I love to parboil my broccoli or my cauliflower. It makes it all just like a little bit cooked. It makes it feels more digestible at that point. It's really great. So you want to eat, please do eat your vegetables and eat your brassicas. They're great for you. They help your liver detoxify. So they're actually quite supportive for anything going on with your thyroid because they will help detoxify you. If you guys want to know more about foods, I have two different resources here for you. One is that I do food testing in my clinic, and I have a nutritionist working with me now, Karen Davis, and she and I talked about it, and we are totally into handing to this community and this community only a cash discount if you're interested in coming into our clinic and getting food tested. In this, we're going to do this up until the first part of July. So in the next 6 weeks, if you want to come in and get your food testing, we do EAV or Vega testing for foods. Come on in, call us and make an appointment. We don't have that many slots because she's only here 1 day a week. But if we can get you in, we would love to serve you, and we'll give you a $50 discount on that. It's also possible that we can bill your insurance. I'll let you talk to my team about that and figure out if your insurance will cover it or not. The other resource is I love Anthony Williams' thyroid book. He has some really great things to say in there about yummy foods and recipes that you can do that are supportive for your thyroid gland. So highly recommend you check out those resources. So your job, let me talk about this mind. Okay, we did movement. Okay, movement. So movement and breath, like I said before, really important to help you detoxify and get your lymphatic system moving. It really increases your mood too. And even if you're hypothyroid, and actually movement is one of those questions I ask people in clinic to help see if they have a thyroid problem. If you feel better after you exercise, that can be an indicator that you have hypothyroid. I always liken this to my old VW that I had in college. The starter broke, and so I couldn't start it with key. I had to, I'm laughing because I actually didn't have a key. I started it with a paper clip, but I couldn't start it with a paper clip because it didn't have a starter. I had to park on a hill, or I had to get people to push me to get it going. Once it got kick-started, it ran just fine. Your thyroid is, when you have low thyroid, it's kind of like that. Like the idea of movement is hard, but once you start moving, that kinetic energy starts to warm the cells up, and it starts going, oh, okay, yeah, we know how to do this. Oh, this actually kind of feels good. Now we're moving our lymph and we're breathing, and all this is actually feeling great. So a lot of people with hypothyroid, they end up feeling better after exercise. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing your assessment piece. Mindset and spirit. So again, I just find this to be one of the most powerful places. 3 steps here to support you in supporting your mindset. So first is awareness. Just be honest. How are you feeling? What are the tapes that are running in your head? What's the tone? What's the song that they're singing? What is it? Is it supportive? Is it joyful? Or is it bringing you down? Be honest with what that is. We all have a variety. We all do. We all listen to all different kinds of things at different times. But becoming aware is the first step. And then the next step, if it's not a joyful tune that's supporting you, is choose change. So number 1 is awareness. 2 is choose change. And then number 3 is use your tools. We have so many tools where we can support our mind, from little mindset tricks, but we also have our amazing essential oils. And I drew out this thing from an old chart that doTERRA made years ago that I've always loved. Some of you may not have seen this, some of you may be very familiar, but I just said, let's not forget these guys. There are these combination essential oils that support the mind, they support the heart, they support the spirit. And there's this graph that can let you know where you need to go. So if you're in the no peace and fatigued corner, you may need serenity, angry and patient, stomach pain, and headache. I put over here kids. I think I felt this way all the way through 1st and 2nd grade. Stomach pains and headaches, just I probably could use some serenity as a child. Fatigued, no passion, citrus bliss, unmotivated, discouraged, chest tight, brain fog, which is really common with hypothyroid, by the way, citrus bliss, no passion and stressed, elevation, hopeless, withdrawn, chest tight, low back pain. I wish my aunt had had that one. No peace and stressed, balance, neck pain, digestive upset, tense or worried. Working parents, anybody? I think so. So using these oils can greatly uplift your mood and shift your mindset into a place where you either just feel better, or it gets you to that next step where you can get the extra support that you need to get your health together. So what I'd like for you guys to do is get your labs done if you can. Start working on the foundations. Just see which foundation needs shoring up. I know some of you have great foundations already and you're good, you're set to go. Others of you may be strong in one area, your sleep is great, but you need to work on your digestion. Decide which foundation it is for you that you need to shore up. They all support each other. The stronger each one is, the more health and vitality that you can experience in your life. Do those things. If you're interested in the food test, then definitely call us and get in and get that scheduled. And I hope that you guys are actually going to come to the Eco Trust tonight, because if you're in Portland, because we're going to be talking about the spirit, the mind spirit part of doTERRA, the bigger why, and it's going to be a beautiful presentation and it's a fundraiser. So I really hope that you join us there. And just before we go, I just have to say that as I reflect on all of this about the thyroid, as I really think about it and how long it took for me to talk about it, I realized that I didn't talk about it before because I found it confusing. When we were in medical school, naturopathic medical school, we were taught therapies to treat the thyroid that honestly didn't really do what they said they were going to do. It was unlike so many other things that I was taught. So much of what I was taught is like, oh yeah, that works. Oh yeah, that works. That works. Thyroid, not so much. And now I realize why. Even in naturopathic medicine back then, I think it's different now, but back then, I think even then, we took the organ in isolation and said, oh, we need to treat the thyroid. And we didn't look at the environment. I actually think the thyroid, along with the brain, I think those are the two main organs that are they respond so much to the environment, more than others. We need to keep the butterfly in a happy, vital, clean environment so that it can flutter and do its thing the way it's supposed to do. And when that is in balance, when that butterfly is in the clean environment, then it can do its thing with ease. It doesn't need to slow down or shut down or get nodules or do anything crazy like that. It gets to do that with ease and allows you to experience your light, your vitality, and live the life that you're meant to live. So thank you so much, you guys. I just love having your time and attention. Please, if you have any questions, Tracy, any questions for us today?
There are a couple.
Yeah, great.
One is, will you address thyroidectomy? If we've
Yeah, I
had
will.
one, what's the best way to move to look at our own situation? Most natural info doesn't address this.
Right. Okay, great.
Comment.
I will answer that. And it just actually reminded me of something that I forgot to say, which is that when we're talking about mood disorders and thyroid, some of the antidepressant medications, some of the medications that give people with mental disease actually lowers the thyroid function as well, sort of worsening that whole little cycle. So I just wanted to say that while I remembered it. Thyroidectomy. So I'm assuming this person's had a thyroidectomy. I would actually, I mean, obviously you need to work with your endocrinologist to make sure that your hormones are in balance and that kind of thing. And it's always a little bit tricky because the thyroid, as you can see, is always trying to balance out other systems. And there's a lot of variation within a day about how much thyroid your body needs, depending on what's going on with you. So if you don't have a thyroid, keeping the foundations intact, creating as much stability as you can in your health and in your life, really making sure your adrenals are balanced and you're fairly disciplined with sleep and food and all that. If you want more information, you can check out our other adrenal talks that we've given in the past if you need it. But that would be a really important cornerstone to make sure that that's intact. And the same with the digestion, detoxification. Make sure all that stuff's down so that there's as little going on as possible. And then honestly, I would still treat I would treat yourself as if you still have a thyroid. I would do some of the oil protocols that we're going to talk about, consider doing them as if it's there. There's some thought, and I know this is sort of outside the box of what's considered normal, but there is some thought that the energetics of an organ, even after they're gone, there's still some ability for that to function. It's like some sort, I don't know what it is. It's something we don't know yet what it is, but I would start treating it as if it's there, if that makes sense, with oils or with energetic medicines, and also with your mind, like really love that space. I think it's easy when we have an organ removed from us to really feel the sense of lack and to not feel good. As much as you can love that space. Anthony Williams is definitely more far out there in terms of what he talks about, but I find a lot of his ideas very intriguing and very plausible. He actually talks a little bit about thyroidectomy, so you might want to check his stuff out. Is that helpful, I hope?
Great. There's one more, and that is, how does the pituitary gland work with other organs when one is taking thyroid replacement?
So, well, if you're taking thyroid, it doesn't affect the other organ. I guess I'm trying to understand that question. I'll just start talking about if she wants to retype it in if I'm not, or if I'm not answering it correctly. So if you're taking thyroid hormones, then it does give a feedback to the pituitary gland saying, we're fine, we don't need so much of the thyroid hormone for sure. It doesn't necessarily affect, to my knowledge, other hormones other organs that the pituitary gland is affecting. Was that your question? You're wondering if you're taking thyroid hormones, does that shut down the pituitary for its other places that it stimulates? If that's the case, that's not really what's thought that happens. Any other questions, Tracy?
It looks like that's it for now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, you guys. Just thank you so much. Love to you all. Thank you, Tracy, for your help today. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully at the Eco Trust tonight, maybe in my clinic for a food test, and definitely in 2 weeks to go over the protocols. I will love hearing from you guys if you have any challenges or questions with your thyroid. The next 2 weeks are the time to post them so that I can answer them in our next Facebook Live. Love seeing you guys. Thank you.